Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ram Show. It is Sunday. Is it August? Yeah, August 13th, 2017. Man, I'm off on my months. Welcome to the Ram Show. We've got some exciting topics for you this week. And let's see if I can hit the right buttons here. And, Zach, say hi.
As requested.
So how's it going this week?
Uh, how do you think? Fine, as
Yeah,
I always do.
as usual. I mean, you tend to complain about things, but when I ask you how your week's been, you tend not to complain that much. So
Nah.
we'll see how that is here in a couple of weeks when we start back to school.
Right.
So yeah,
Just
something
wake up at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock and show up to class.
I think I have like one 8 o'clock class and it's math, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Ha ha.
Yeah.
Joke's on you. I'm taking that online.
No, joke's on you. I don't have to take Comp 2 again.
What? You mean Comp 2?
Well, I'm I'm
What do
I'm
you
done
mean?
with I'm done with Comp 2, so I have no more Comp classes to take.
Oh, right. Well, I'm taking that online too, so.
uh
Uh,
so okay. That was one of those classes that I probably would have done better actually in class, but I'm done. I passed. Don't got to do it again. So, anyway, so that's that. Something exciting coming up. We are going to be um, doing Joe's setup in his dorm room and basically setting up the ultimate dorm room setup. So that'll be a cool video that's coming soon. Um, what else is on the way?
okay, so you said the ultimate something, but it just decided I wasn't going to get to hear that. So say that again?
The ultimate dorm room setup.
Oh, okay.
So
Cool.
basically, we're
Glad it let
gonna
me hear it that time.
yeah we're gonna make his desk look really nice and do all the cable management and stuff like that. So
Is
that'll
he
be
gonna get
pretty
a real
cool.
PC?
I talked to him about this. I wonder if we could do kind of like a junkyard like PC
Let's
for
do an
him.
eBay build. That'd be fun.
Yeah, something like that. We'll have to see if that actually happens, but I did suggest that. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, he's got a wireless keyboard and a mouse, so we don't have to worry about those things, and he's already got a monitor too. So
Well,
we're
there are people who think that wireless is the worst thing on the planet, but I don't think he'll notice.
and well, yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. Like, he's already got a keyboard and mouse. That's the point I was trying to get at there. So anyway, no, I suggested it to him, and I think it'd be a really fun project for us to do. So
Yeah,
and
we
like
should do that.
you know, what are you thinking? Like a GT 730? That'll get him running some basic games, and yeah, that should work, right? Depending on
You
what
could
his
just
budget
buy
is.
like a cheap $100 card, and it would run so much better than that. To be
Yes,
honest,
something like that.
but I guess it depends what kind of money he can come up with.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he's been working over the summer, so. Anyway, one more thing before we actually get into a real topic this week. Don't you just love how like when you plan to do something really simple, and it should be really simple, it turns out to not be simple, especially in regards
Yeah.
to computer stuff. So here's the backstory, right? So Maverick, my main system that we use to do the RAM show, I had upgraded to an SSD, what, 4 or 5 months ago or something like that. No problems there, right? So I had the original boot drive for Maverick, which was a 1 terabyte Western Digital Blue drive. And I have a storage drive in Maverick, which was a 640 Western Digital Blue. Well, when I switched over to the SSD, I was like, well, what the heck? I want the 1 terabyte drive for the storage drive. So finally got around to it a couple days ago. I think it was Friday, where I grabbed my little external hard drive, copied everything from the 640 drive onto it, and then I slapped the 1 terabyte into one of my other systems that I have and copied everything over to the drive. So that all went pretty well, except for one stupid file on the external hard drive that gets like 56% of the way copied, and then it just decides to take a giant crap and say, nope, I don't want to copy the rest of the file.
Any reason that
I
it gave for that?
I have no idea. The only thing I can maybe think of is that like the system decided to like go to sleep while it was copying over that file, and like a portion of it got corrupted maybe. So, and it's like, it's not a file that like, it's not the end of the world if I lose it, but I really do want to keep it. So I have to figure out some creative way to do, like, to get that off. And I was thinking, well, you know, maybe it's just the computer. So I tried it up here in Maverick. Didn't copy. Tried it on my Mac. Didn't copy. I was like, well, what the heck? I'll just, because it's a video file, I was like, well, I'll import it into, because that's the thing, like, it plays just fine on the drive itself. Like, it doesn't stop at any point that I can tell or anything like that. So yeah, and it like moves around on the drive itself. It just won't move off the darn drive. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. That sounds weird.
So,
I don't even know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. I tried copying it through the command line. It didn't want to work, so I don't know what's up with it. And yeah, I spent like a good hour like messing around with this. And so, you know, this is at like 1 o'clock in the morning, so I'm already tired, right? I'm getting pissed off because it won't move and everything, and I really want to hang on to this file, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? So, anyway, I'm finally like, okay, fine, I give up. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to swap the drive out anyway. So, take the 1 terabyte drive, pop it into Maverick, right? Well, shut Maverick down, pop the drive in, start up the system, and you'll never guess what happened.
I won't, so tell me.
Maverick decided that even though it could still see the boot drive, it didn't want to load.
It tried to boot to that new one that you put in, right?
I don't know what it was doing.
Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know what was happening. Like, it like legitimately could not find a boot drive. Like, it could see that the drive was there, but it couldn't load into Windows. And this was again after I spent an hour already trying to get, you know, the one file off. So I was already irritated. I was tired. And, like, my sleep schedule's been all off. So I've been trying to go to bed earlier and forcing myself to bed with, like, melatonin. So I'd taken a melatonin thinking that, like, you know, oh, you know, I'm just going to swap the drives out real quick. Everything's going to be good. So, like I said, I'm already tired. I've got the melatonin working and I'm pissed off. And my main system is now, like, not working, where all my stuff is. Well, not all of it, but I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So needless to say, I was pretty irritated. So, popped the SSD out thinking, okay, maybe there's a bad cable just by chance or something like that, which is weird because it was just working. Popped it into my system downstairs, my secondary system, still wouldn't load, right? So I was like, okay, what the heck is going on here? Luckily, and this was the odd part too, right? Was that when I popped it into the like the other system, I could still see the drive, like it showed up. I could access all the files on the drive and everything, but it just wouldn't boot to it. So ended up running a check disk on it, popped it up into the system up here, and lo and behold, it decided to work. So. I think I also ran, like, the Windows, like, startup recovery thing off the disk kind of thing.
I think that's one of those things where you just accept that it works and just don't even care.
Yeah, it was...
I'm done. It works now. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
I don't even know how that happened, but it's done and it works now. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, I have no idea what the heck just happened. I don't really care. It's working. Good. We're back up and running. But, yeah. Anyway, all right. With that being said,
sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, I was beyond pissed at that point. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into our first topic for this week. Firefox is getting VR support.
So, well, since when was that a desirable feature? I didn't know people with VR glasses, goggles, whatever, wanted to use them with their web browsers, but
Well, okay,
I guess
so
now you can.
I guess it's been a thing because Chrome has had it, and among other browsers, Edge has had it, which is just odd because Edge sucks with everything.
What?
Yeah.
What? Implying anyone's gonna use it. Ugh.
Hey, you know
Well,
what? Maybe this was
okay.
Microsoft's idea of like, hey, if we have VR support, maybe we can get the VR market to use our web browser.
Wishful thinking, I'd say.
Right. So I guess it's already like been deployed because it came out on the 8th, which would have been Tuesday last week.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's like, yeah, it's VR functionality. So the web-based VR on Firefox will be available for all Windows users who have an HTC Vive or Oculus Rift headset. And then I guess there's also like some way for you to be able to use it even if you don't have like a headset or something. I don't know how that all works.
So what exactly? Say you have a VR headset and you want to try this out. What exactly are you going to do in your browser to do this? Like, what exactly is a VR headset going to let you do in your web browser? I don't get. Are you going to like go on YouTube and watch some VR videos or something?
That's what I was thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Like VR, like 3D, like video and stuff like that. I honestly don't know. But yeah, like it's weird because the article says here that Firefox lags behind its big competitors Chrome. Well, big competitor Chrome. Okay, that's not hard to believe because Chrome is a huge browser. But like when I read that Edge already had this feature built in, I was like, what? Edge among all browsers has this before Firefox? I was like, okay, well that's interesting. So
right.
You know, that's a thing that happened there for a while. I guess like the Chrome platform though, like has a lot more versatility. It can be used with like the HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, and then obviously Google's own Cardboard and Google Daydream, which sound kind of intriguing, and I'd kind of like to check them out. I don't know about you. Like, the whole VR thing is interesting to me, but like, that's about it.
It's way too expensive, and there's not enough stuff you can do with it yet. It'll be a thing in the future, I'm sure. Though.
Yeah, it's kind of like 4K.
Nobody
right
really
now.
doubts that.
Would you agree?
4K is even more developed than this.
That's true, like, but it's still kind of like.
At least
4K.
You can buy a 4K screen, and as long as you have some ridiculous hardware that can run it at acceptable frame,
right?
Assuming you're trying to play games on it, then it'll work, right? It'll work with what you have already. But this, it's like, well. We got this cool VR headset, but not much you can do with it.
Right, yeah. So Firefox 55 will also include a new tool that's still in beta testing called Firefox Screenshots, which automatically saves screenshots to the cloud and then copies them to your clipboard. Now, the screenshots expire in 2 weeks unless you manually set them to last longer. Firefox for Windows is the first desktop browser to support WebVR for all users by the VP of Firefox product. But yeah, he says even without a device, we're still giving you an opportunity to dive into virtual reality from your desktop, which again, I don't know how that works. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Well, okay.
I thought the whole point...
guess that's nice.
Yeah, I thought the whole point
VR and Firefox. That's what I...
Yeah. But no, like, I thought the whole point behind VR was you had to have the whole, like, mask VR thing to make it work. So, I don't know. I don't
know. Yes.
All right.
I got nothing.
So, you have not seen the topics for this week, right?
I have now. I've got them all open.
Oh, okay. Well, I doubt you've read through them yet, have you?
Of course I haven't.
Okay. I love using vague story slugs because it keeps you wondering. So this one is entitled just Passwords. You're gonna, I think you'll be okay with this one, Zach. So we are all familiar with the your password must be so many characters long and contain a number and a special character and capitals and it has to be changed like every 3 months, right?
Yeah, we are.
So
Unfortunately.
there was this guy. His name is, what the heck is his name? Bill Burr. That's his name. And in 2003, he advised all government departments that passwords should be an entirely random string of letters and symbols, the sorts of things that you'd imagine no one could guess and you could never remember. But it turns out that those are actually easier for hackers to crack than, say, weird words that you can actually remember. So basically what this guy said is, yeah, I kind of screwed up and came out with these guidelines that really aren't the best anymore. So, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's probably still very difficult to break these kind of passwords. But I think the argument here is that given that, say, I think the argument here is that someone who's trying to break this password probably knows that there's going to be, a symbol, a whatever, and it's going to meet a set of requirements. And by using that set of requirements, they can narrow down the possibilities for the password.
That is true. And like the thing is with this too, and I read this a while back, was that part of the reason that the passwords are now less secure is because, think about it, like, and you've probably done the same thing. So, when your password expires, right, what do? You use the same password and you add a letter or a character to it.
Yeah, you change a letter or something stupid because
exactly.
Lazy.
Exactly. The best part is this guy says he regrets coming up with these standards.
I wouldn't say it's terribly.
Well, he says, I think I could have done a better job of figuring out some of the things that we know now. Or at least of guessing them, he said. Which is probably true about a lot of things, actually.
Yeah, I suppose.
So, I don't know. What do you... And this is the interesting part now. Now that this information is out, and this guy is like, yeah, I kind of was wrong. Do you think, like, IT administrators are going to be like, okay, we can finally just drop the super ob requirements, or do you think it's not going to make any difference at all?
Oh, probably not.
So, I don't know. It's made me rethink a few things, too. Like, we just launched a basically like an online cloud system on our servers. Excuse me. For like, it's basically kind of like a Dropbox thing for TechBeam Media. And inside of like the security tab, there's like, and even like our webmail stuff, there's like tabs for like the complexity of the passwords. And I've kind of eased off on them. So you'll appreciate that, Zach.
I will.
And I probably should, but I'm not going to because it annoys me just as much as it annoys you, is the expiring passwords. Although, I have to say, so group policies are awesome, and I would be the one, if I worked in like a, enterprise or something like that, as like the IT administrator, I would make everyone else change their passwords like every 3 months, and I'd just let mine stay the same.
You're horrible.
Hey, come on! You can't admit that you wouldn't do the same thing either.
I mean, I probably would ignore the requirements for everyone unless they were specifically, unless it was asked of me, hey, we need to put these requirements on people. But yeah, I'd totally remove them for myself.
I just think,
sure, it's awful practice, but
I just think it's
I have enough passwords to remember.
Well,
I don't need more.
Well, that's the thing too. But like, I just think it's funny to watch people in agony every 3 months, like, oh, it's time to redo my password. And I just can laugh about it then.
Uh,
I'm evil. I am
how
evil.
deplorable of you.
Hey, you gotta have a little fun as the IT administrator. Just saying. So.
Just saying.
Just saying. But anyway. Alright. It is now time for your favorite segment of this entire show, Zach.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
And with that being said, hold on. I have to do this. I don't think you can hear that, but we now have we now have a little Microsoft News like opener kind of thing, which hope you enjoyed that. It's kind of cool. Why is that's interesting. The stream health of our live stream has gone from good to okay.
The what, you say?
Like the status of our live stream has gone from good to okay.
Oh, you may have dropped some frames or something, or lagged a little bit on your connection.
I would imagine so. Yeah, the GT 730 that's in this thing is not the greatest.
I would say it's probably more your connection that would be more likely to have a problem.
I don't know. Oh, well, that's wonderful.
Isn't it?
Firefox just decided to completely go to a black screen on me. So
Good job.
Let's reload that here. Okay, Microsoft news. Microsoft actually kind of did something stupid this week. Well,
I actually read about this. Neither here nor there, I would say.
Well, okay, fine, but it's something that we can make fun of. Like it, you have to admit,
of course.
It's
Of
definitely,
course it is.
It's definitely something that is more like, what are the words I'm trying to spit out? It fits along more with what this segment actually is. So.
Yep.
So Microsoft says it respectfully disagrees with Consumer Reports' findings on its Surface range of laptops and tablets. So Consumer Report has removed its recommended badge from Microsoft's entire lineup of Surface PCs because the hardware was found to be less reliable than other PC brands. In a surprise report, Consumer Reports surveyed 90,000 tablet and laptop owners and found roughly 25% of the Surface users have encountered issues by the end of the second year of ownership. And of course, Microsoft is completely denying this.
Nope, not a problem here. What are you talking about?
Right? Hang on. Okay. So Microsoft disagreed with Consumer Reports findings, right? And Surface chief, why do all these Microsoft executives have odd names? Pane? Zach, help?
I don't know.
Anyway, okay. He says the company stands firmly behind the quality and reliability of the Surface family of devices.
Oh, blah, blah, whatever.
Let's see here. So Consumer Reports survey is disappointing. While we respect Consumer Reports, we disagree with their findings, says Pane. In the Surface team, we track quality constantly using metrics that include failure and return rates. Both are predicted 1 to 2 year failure and actual return rates for Surface Pro 4 and Surface Book are significantly lower than 25%. Keep in mind, though, so he only focused on the Surface 4 and the Surface Book. He didn't focus on the Surface 2 and
He's
the
not
Surface
talking
Pro
about
2.
the ones that Consumer Reports are talking about, which are the ones that have been out for a couple of years now.
Yeah, so the data is from devices purchased between 2014 and 2017. And this says it likely includes devices like the Surface 2 and the Surface Pro 2, which were not on sale, which were still on sale throughout 2014. Consumer Report says it's not recommending Microsoft's latest Surface laptop because of its data collection of existing Surface devices. And their argument, like I said, is that Panay, if that's actually his name, I'm probably slaughtering that, was only focusing on, again, the Surface 4 and the Surface Book, right? Yeah, kind of thing. So, which maybe he just didn't completely understand, like, what years they were talking about, or he knows there's problems with the other ones, and he just didn't want to admit that. Because let's be honest...
I would probably go for the second option.
Well, let's be honest, Microsoft has not been having the best track record lately.
I'm sure they know of any problems they have with their devices, and they just don't want to...
You know what,
They're just going to go and say, hey, look, our new ones fixed the problems. Go buy this.
Right? So both the Surface Pro 4 and Surface Book experienced issues with sleep reliability, and Consumer Reports claim some people have problems starting up their devices or have had them freeze and shut down. It's not clear if Microsoft's firmware problems with the previous Surface devices were part of that, or part of the issues or not, as Consumer Reports hasn't provided full details on this yet. But yeah, that goes back to fix your software, Microsoft. So,
yeah, I think that's a good thing to say.
Now, okay, to be fair, I don't completely ding Microsoft here if they know that there are problems with the other one. Well, I do and I don't, because...
The fact that they specifically mention the newer ones leads me to believe that they know exactly what's going on.
Okay, so I want your opinion on this. Do you ding them for not mentioning the other ones, or do you not ding them? Like, from a business standpoint here, I can see, okay, yes, I don't want to draw...
It's bad for them no matter what they do, really.
Well, that's true. But, like, I don't want to draw, like, attention to, like, an issue, but then at the same time, like, I think that does make you more credible if you do admit to it.
I don't think it's a huge issue, but you're right about that. If you can acknowledge an issue, yeah, it improves your credibility.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, okay, we screwed up. We know we screwed up. We're working on a fix, and yada, yada, yada. So, which, well, okay, first off, it's illegal in America, but if we ever got a review sample and stuff like that, a company could not pay us for a positive review, nor would I ever engage in any sort of activity. You know, if you send us a product out for review, by some chance, which would totally be awesome, by the way, we're going to do our... You know, we're going to provide our honest feedback on it. This is what we liked, this is what we didn't like, kind of thing. So, but it makes us credible. So.
Yay!
Consumer Reports typically collects at least 300 responses in its survey data, and a spokesperson confirmed to The Verge that our data on Microsoft was well above that threshold. Consumer Reports refused to break down its data to reveal how many older devices are included in its report, and the split between laptops and tablets. Microsoft argues that the Surface Pro 4 and Surface Book rank high in customer satisfaction based on commissioned research from IPSOS. Wait.
Really? Well, okay, that's...
commissioned research? So...
Well... Yeah, I mean...
Okay.
That means we're paying you to do this research.
Which could create a conflict of interest there.
It could, but you'd hope that it wouldn't, because, you know...
Again, not to mention...
You probably want to know if there's a problem, right?
Well, not to mention that is technically illegal in America. You can't pay somebody to give you a positive review. Well, you can, but it's illegal.
You shouldn't.
Yeah. Anyway, the findings that, you know, IPSOS have found are going to do little to change Consumer Reports' recommendation. With the product testing magazine previously... excuse me, while the product testing magazine previously revised its Apple MacBook recommendation, there isn't a specific hardware or software fault that Microsoft can address to help convince Consumer Reports. So, interesting.
I think why would they listen to this from a company that Microsoft hired to do the research? Like,
Yeah,
hello.
I don't know. I had somebody, so my friend's aunt, I was over at their house, like helping them with a couple things, and she asked me, what do you think about the Microsoft Surface? Like, no, nope, no, stay away from it, nope.
It's too expensive. It's way too expensive.
That was, thank you, and that was my reasoning. It is way too expensive. You can get something that's probably just as good for a cheaper price.
The standard issue looking laptop, like, an inch or two thick, probably not two, but
Well,
none of this ultra thin crap. Regular old laptop form factor is where you get the most hardware for your.
That is true. She was looking for some kind of like, I would imagine some smaller portable device in her laptop. I was like, just get a 2-in-1. Like, they're just as good.
Oh yeah,
They're just as good.
that could work too.
So anyway, she's like, well, how do I know what to buy? I was like, just take me with you.
You know what? That's probably the best thing you could do, really. I'll just pick one for you. It'll be fine.
So I think we talked about this the other day where so she was having a problem with her laptop where it was overheating and it would like get super hot. Well, it got to the point where it would like start up, right? And so it would start booting into Windows, and then the fan would ramp up, and then it would just shut down. So we ended up disassembling the laptop, and oh my goodness, was there a lot of dust in there. So cleaned up like the heat sink, like the fins for the heat sink, and cleaned up the fan and stuff like that, put it back together. It works fine now.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have a few-year-old laptop. Yeah, it could probably use to be opened up.
Yeah. Well, and then we took my friend's laptop apart, and apparently, I don't know what it is about that laptop. That's like the laptop from hell because it just hates me. Like, I reinstalled Windows on it, and the webcam decided it didn't want to work. I took it apart this time, put it back together, and now there's no sound. So, I'm hoping that it's either I just forgot to plug cable back in somewhere, or I'm hoping it's even more simple and, like, the configuration of the speakers is off and it's just a software issue. So.
Yeah, I would probably go for the first option. I think would be a little more likely. Sorry.
Yeah, that I left a cable unplugged or something. I really don't want to tear the thing apart. Laptops are a pain in the rear end.
I hate speakers anyway, so I don't think I'd be too heartbroken, but whatever.
I love my speakers. Dude, I loved your reaction the first time you, like, were here, and we're like, where the heck is the subwoofer?
Oh yeah, it was like on that low shelf. I was like,
Yeah.
I swear there's something a little beefier than those tiny speakers here. Somewhere.
Yeah, your reaction was priceless. You're like, where's the bass coming from? Or something like that. I was like, oh, you mean the subwoofer that's right there? You were like, oh.
Yeah, that one. I remember.
Anyway, continuing on with some Microsoft news here. Microsoft officially unveiled Windows 10 Pro for workstations today. Well, not today. When was this? This was the 10th. So, what day would that have been? Thursday. They unveiled this. So while the operating system was originally rumored to be released back in June, Microsoft is providing the full details on the special edition today. Well, last Thursday. So as expected, Windows 10 Pro for Workstation is primarily designed for server-grade PC hardware and true power users. Windows 10 Pro for workstations scales up for machines with a higher number of logical processors and large amounts of RAM.
Interesting.
Yet, the one thing that they will not be taking out of it, Microsoft Phone.
Telemetry.
Yeah, exactly. Microsoft Phone Home. So, yeah.
Why? Ugh. I bet
Because-
this is probably going to cost more too, and they still can't take it. Like, really?
I hope this isn't like the whole like Windows 10s thing, where like it's a full version of Windows, but like one little flag has been like, you know, one little piece of code has been changed, and then you pay like $50 and it unlocks the entire thing. Like, I don't
Please
know.
no.
I loved your reaction on that one, by the way. We're like, oh, don't tell me you have to pay for it. It was like, yeah. And I was like, and your reaction was priceless. Like, oh, gosh.
Yeah, and I guarantee you the whole code is there. It's all there.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, I guarantee you the entire code is there. Well, it is with Windows 10s, and like I said, literally there's one little piece of code that's been flagged.
Although I suspect there's nothing locked away in a version like this, because it's a power user version of Windows. In fact, I would be willing to bet this is going to be more expensive and have more features.
I don't know. Well, it looks like the main functions behind it it just supports more high end like hardware, like more RAM and more cores and stuff like that.
Right.
It's making 4 major changes to Windows. Microsoft is making 4 major changes to Windows 10 Pro for workstations to support high end PC hardware. First off is REFS, which is the Resilient File System. Which I believe Apple is actually going to be rolling that out in their next operating system release. So that'll be interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
My recommendation would be, before you update, make sure you have all your stuff backed up.
Well, yeah, because updating the file system is one of those things that could have a bit of a problem with it. Probably better to have your stuff backed up.
You know what I think I might do, actually? And technical here, but just do a clean install of it. Like, take what I want off, do a clean install, not an upgrade, and then hopefully there shouldn't be much to worry about at that point. So, but yeah, so REFS is going to be enabled by default, provide more resilience against data corruption, which I didn't really know was too big of an issue nowadays. Like, I know back in like the 95, 98 era, like data corruption was a huge thing, but
yeah, there's a lot of measures in place against that now, but
yeah,
I mean, I guess it's good to have something.
And then optimization for handling large data volumes and auto correcting. Windows 10 Pro for workstations will also include support for volatile memory modules. Okay, explain.
Okay, so volatile memory is deleted when you turn the computer off, but non-volatile will stay, right? So RAM is volatile, your hard drive is not, that kind of thing.
Okay, so it's kind of like M.2 memory?
Well, it's kind of like any kind of hard drive.
That's like flash memory then. Or, yeah, because like flash doesn't go away when you turn it off.
Yeah, anything you put files on is not volatile. It stays when you turn the computer off.
So what's the benefit to this then?
Not sure, actually. This is for serious workstations though. If you scroll down, support for 6 terabytes of RAM and 4 socket motherboards. Yeah, that's some serious hardware. No, having a Threadripper CPU is not an excuse to install this. I don't think. Your regular old Windows will probably still work fine.
To be fair, let me ask you this question though, Mr. Chief of Hardware. If you had a system that had like 6 terabytes of RAM and what did they say?
I would not use all of it, thank you.
It'd make one badass gaming setup though, wouldn't it?
I don't think it's the 6 terabytes of RAM that make it a great setup.
Well, yeah, it's probably the CPU and the thread count, right? Thread and core count? But
Well, it depends on a lot of things, actually. Like, how good is the single thread performance? What kind of graphics card does it have?
well, okay. So I guess the benefit to the NVDIMM, it means that read and write speeds will be fast or be as fast as possible, because the files obviously don't go anywhere; they're still there, which makes sense. Um,
Yep.
so, like you said, yep, it's adding faster file support into Windows 10 Pro for workstations, utilizing SMB Direct. Also, explain, please.
That's not really, that's not my area of expertise. Sorry.
Okay, so that's more the software side then.
That's more, I don't know that much.
Okay, so I need to do some research on SMB Direct and stuff like that. Okay, so that. All right, so that's not the hardware side. That's more the software side, which would be more technically me, I guess. I haven't heard of that yet, so.
I've heard of it. I forget what it does, though.
Okay.
I don't know.
Microsoft is supporting Remote Directory Management Access, RDMA. I have no idea what that is either.
That sounds like some kind of network storage, maybe.
Maybe.
Remote direct.
Oh, yeah, compatibility so
The
that network
network-
adapters can operate at a low latency without much CPU usage. I didn't know that, like,
Interesting.
network adapters use
This is
that
all
much.
enterprise stuff. We're probably just ruining this, aren't we?
Probably.
But
You know what, though?
cool. Windows 10.
I know. So, if we ever build Trixton, which I would be deploying, we
What?
talked about this last week, as
I forgot.
so Trixton will be. I want to build like a render farm, like a video render server.
That sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah, we talked about this last week, but yeah. So basically, like I said, what you do, you load it with Adobe's Media Encoder on there, right? And set up watch files, so you edit your file, whatever, and stuff like that, and then you just send it off to the render farm and let it go,
Yay.
which I think would be totally awesome. That'd be cool.
That would.
Because like Premiere takes forever to export stuff, so yeah. Anyway. But no, I didn't know that network adapters use that much CPU usage, I guess. So
I don't think they do. I think what it means is your CPU can be practically sleeping and still will work.
cool. But it says it should increase throughput for file transfers across high-speed networks.
Might be wrong about that, though.
Yeah. Finally, Microsoft is expanding its hardware support in the Windows 10 Pro for workstations. So several great Intel Xeon and AMD Optron processors will be supported with up to 4 physical CPUs and up to 6 terabytes of RAM. Windows 10 Pro is currently limited to 2 physical CPUs and up to 2 terabytes of RAM, which is still impressive, mind you.
Yeah.
So this edition
Of course it is.
of Windows is clearly targeting high-performance configurations. Windows 10 Pro for workstations will be available alongside the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update later this year, which, as I've said before, is the stupidest name ever. Apparently the naming committee was on vacation when they came up with it.
I think they'd be off vacation by now. They can come up with something, but I guess not.
Well, apparently both Windows and Apple's naming departments were, yeah. So we have Mac OS Sierra right now. The new one will be Mac OS Sierra, or Mac OS High Sierra. So literally adding a word. And we have the Windows 10 Creators Update out now. And the new one is the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update. Nice job, guys.
Yay.
Nice job, guys, with your naming scheme.
Look, just make it a good update, and I don't care what it's called.
Well, it's not going to matter, though. Like, well, okay. The only way you would ever update your Windows system again, I feel, is if Microsoft took telemetry data out completely.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, okay, so what update
I
are
would
you on?
just give me security patches and dish everything else, please. I can't say just have that.
Yeah, like they used to, but yeah. Well, like I said, data sells. Speaking of data, um, a federal class action lawsuit was filed last week in California that alleges that the Walt Disney Company is violating privacy protection laws by collecting children's personal information from 42 of its apps and sharing the data with advertisers without parental consent. Oops.
Oh boy.
Um. So the lawsuit targets Disney and 3 software companies: Upsite, Unity, and Kochava? Help!
I've never heard of them, to be honest. I've never heard of any of them.
I love how every time I try to pronounce things like this, you just sit there and laugh at me. But to be fair, I would do the same thing. So, but anyway, alleging that the companies created mobile apps aimed at children that contain embedded software to track, collect, and then export their personal information, along with information about their online behavior. So the plaintiff is a San Francisco woman named Amanda Rushing that says she was unaware that the information about her child, LL, was collected while playing mobile games Disney Princess while playing the mobile game Disney Princess Palace Pets. And that data was then sold to third parties for ad targeting. All right, my first question is, how the heck did she know this?
How about, here's what I've got. Like, say what you like about whether or not it's legal. Doesn't that just, like, make you think, hey, do you think people would like this if they found out about it? Would this become a PR disaster if it was discovered?
Well,
Yeah?
okay.
Okay, we're doing it anyway.
Well, okay, so based on PR, like, here is the issue, right? So, in today's world, we know that, and we've talked about this before too, Microsoft tracks us, Google tracks us, like, our phones track us, Instagram and Snapchat, and, like, everything tracks now because, of course, data sells, right? I think the PR issue here is when you start getting into the fact that it's children's data.
Well, yeah, everyone likes to say, think of the children. Well, now think of the children.
Well, not to mention the fact that it completely violates the COPA Act of, 1999? Yeah. Which was designed to protect the privacy of children online. So. Which is where, the heat for this argument is coming from. Because let's be honest, nobody's filing lawsuits against Microsoft and Google and Snapchat and Instagram for tracking us.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
So, but yeah, so according to COPA, let's see here. So it's designed to protect the privacy of children online. COPA requires that companies designing apps for children under the age of 13 obtain consent from parents before collecting personal information. In 2013, the FTC revised COPA, expanding what counts as personal information to including things like geolocation markers and IP addresses. The update also requires third-party advertisers to comply with the rules. I can see maybe not tracking geolocation, but how do you not track an IP address? Because they're kind of important for stuff to be able to move where it's supposed to go.
I think it's more talking about, like, logging this information and associating it with a person, as well as then selling that to
makes,
someone else.
You know what? And I thought about it after I said it. That makes a lot more sense.
It's not the fact that they have the IP address that's getting complained about.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, if you don't understand how the internet works, basically there's a bunch of numbers and stuff like that tell stuff where to go, and yeah, we won't get into the specifics because...
that was a terrible explanation. I'm sorry.
Well, okay, fine.
I don't think I could do much better, but it was terrible.
I was going to say, we can get into the whole, OSI model here if you want.
Oh, no. Why don't we move on?
Okay, fine. How about let's do this. So, your ISP assigns you an IP address. That IP address is like your house number on your house, right? And so everything out on the internet has an IP address. And so when you go to, say, Google, you say, okay, well, then there's things like, DNS resolution and stuff like that, which converts domain names into numbers and stuff like that. But basically, when you type in Google, it knows, okay, Google
We're going to this
is
address.
associated with, this address. And so then what your computer says is, okay, I'm coming from this address, I'm going to this address, and then it hits the Google servers, requests what it needs, and then Google reverses the whole process and says, okay, well, I'm sending this back to this address. And that's why IP addresses are important.
Yay.
And there's a lot of other things. And then we could get into TCP and UDP.
No, we're not.
Do you know the difference? So which one is the one that primarily is for like video?
UDP.
So basically,
Because it just sends the data and doesn't care if it gets there.
Yeah, exactly. Which can cause some really interesting things when we have people doing live remotes on air. Where, they just like freeze and all of a sudden they're like in a totally different spot like a second later. Yeah, it's pretty great. Stuff like that.
Sounds nice.
Especially when the connection just drops out completely.
Yep. Then you got nothing.
Yeah. That actually happened one time. I was not at the station when this happened, but it was during like the political period. And the company that owned us had like a political analysis guy that was like covering like the RNC and DNC and stuff like that. And he was like doing lives on all the different stations that the company owned. And so I happened to have it up and I was watching it. And all of a sudden it just went like he disappeared and the like test pattern grid popped up on screen. And then they quickly went back to camera. It was great. But anyway.
Awesome.
So back to this. In total, the lawsuit names 42 Disney apps. It says run afoul of COPPA. The plaintiff is seeking an injunction barring the defendants from tracking and sharing data collected without parental consent, as well as appropriate relief, including actual and statutory damages and punitive damages, plus all costs related to prosecuting the action. Let's go back on something real quick here. If it turns out that they actually are doing this, it's bad enough that they're tracking the data of children, but then selling it.
I think here's what's going to happen, right? Even if these people win their case and they get some fines leveled against a big bad company, it's not going to mean anything to them. It's going to be some measly fine, like it says here in 2011. They received a $3 million fine. But I mean, think about it. To them, that's just chump change. Oh, $3 million, we made way more money off the data anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it's worth it to them. That's still a win. It's less of a win than if they walked away scot-free, but
right,
they still make money.
Now, okay, so Disney says it has a robust COPPA compliance program, and it says, we maintain strict data collection and use policies for Disney apps created for children and families. The complaint is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of COPPA principles, and we look forward to defending this action in court. So that's either a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, they're confident, I guess.
Yeah. This is better or worse. And like you said, this isn't the first time that Disney has faced COPPA violations. Like you said, in 2011, the FTC levied a $3 million civil penalty against the subsidiary Playdom after it illegally collected and disclosed personal information from hundreds of thousands of children under the age of 13 without their parents' prior consent. So,
hundreds of thousands. Yeah, they probably made more than $3 million doing that.
The thing about this that, like, I think makes this even more, like, scandalous, shall we say, is that, like, Disney is a company that's whole existence is based on children, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of, so. Anyway, okay.
I mean, I don't know. Like, you can say what you like about whether or not it's legal, but it kind of makes you wonder: is that really okay? No.
Like I
Like,
said,
don't they just
we've
think maybe for a second that that might be sort of scummy?
well, yeah, and like I said, we know that like apps track us and stuff like that, but like when it comes to kids, I think that's just off limits. Should be off limits, but anyway.
Well, they don't think so.
Yeah, right.
We'll see.
We've totally failed on keeping this an hour this week, so yeah. Anyway.
All right, Threadripper in 3 minutes. Let's go.
Threadripper in 3 minutes. Well, but see, this is the sad part, because this is the one that we can spend the most time on. Dude, literally? Okay, so I print out all the stories every week and put them into a Word document. So I basically just copy and paste the article. Normally, they are a single page, right?
How many pages is this one?
You want to take a guess?
4 or 5?
6. 6. 6 pages.
I don't know why you print them off. Ugh.
Because I have a laser
I hate
printer and my mother bought. So first off, the laser printer is awesome, right? Because while the toner cartridge costs like $80, it lasts me like a good year and a half.
That's it?
Yeah. Well, when you
Eesh.
consider an enterprise will go through them like every 3 months or something like that.
Yeah, but that's like thinking of office full of people that print 20 pages a day.
Yeah. But like it's not horrible. Like it's a lot cheaper than using an inkjet printer.
Yeah, but inkjet printers just suck.
Uh,
That's
Granted, it is only black and white, but that's
They
totally
suck more
fine.
than most kinds of printers, in
Yeah.
fact.
So I mean, it is like I said, it's only black and white, which is totally fine because what the heck, But yeah, if I can get year and a half out of a toner cartridge, that's not horrible for $80. But so what I say is my printer does not eat ink; it eats paper. So a while back, I went out to like Staples and purchased like 5 reams of paper, right? And that took me a while to go through, right? So we were starting to get low, and so I sent my mom to the store to go get paper, right? And told her to pick up, just a thing of 5 reams. Oh no! She didn't pick up a thing of 5 reams, she picked up an entire case. So like, we're talking 10 reams here of paper. So,
at least you won't run out for a while.
Yeah, I just opened the box like a couple months ago? Yeah. So, I've got plenty of paper to spare for a while. So, that's why I print everything out, because it's not a huge deal. And I like actually having a physical copy of stuff to be able to write things like notes and stuff on, things like that, mark it up. So
Sounds all right.
And then this way, I don't have to deal with the stupid like pop-up ads on the pages.
Oh, and those auto-playing videos, I hate those so much.
Exactly. So that's why I do it. All right. So AMD Threadripper 1950X. Zach, go.
What? Oh, okay. So Threadripper's all right, I guess. That's what we got. It's pretty good.
And this
as expected, it's very competitive in almost every arena except gaming, which is slightly disappointing for me, even though I wasn't planning on buying one. It's what I do on my PC more than anything else. So yeah, it's not for me, but it's great. And it should, maybe put the boot to Intel to say, hey, step it up, because we're at your heels now.
Yeah. Hang on, where is it? Yeah, move over, Intel. There's a new sheriff in town. So compelling
Well, that's
is...
not entirely true because the top Intel CPUs are better in almost every way.
I did see
But
that,
they
yeah.
also cost so much more that it's just silly. Unless your budget is infinite, there's no reason to buy.
So, yeah, well, Intel definitely holds IPC, but in terms of, like, the price to what you're getting, like, price to cores and threads, like, AMD's looking like a good option here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Now, there's a whole bunch of benchmarks all over now. And like I said, in basically everything except gaming, it
yeah.
meets or exceeds the equally priced competition.
Well, okay, so speaking of specs here, so I'm looking at this first chart here. So, on the page here. So why don't you go through some of this stuff, Zach? Because we actually have real world... We have real world numbers here, I'm guessing now.
Mm-hmm. 16 cores, 32 threads at the top. Which, now think about it, 2 years ago, Intel top of the line high-end desktop CPU was what, the 5960X, right? I don't think the 6950 was out by then. And that had 8 cores and 16 threads. 2 years later, we've got double. Even a year ago, we only had 10.
Yeah, and like you said, now we have 16. So.
Now we have 16. I mean, I guess if you count Intel, we got 18. Although, 18 cores will cost you $2,000.
Oh, are those the new Core i9 processors that are...
Mm-hmm.
What platform is that now? The Coffee Lake or whatever?
No, that's Skylake X.
Oh, Skylake. What is this new Coffee Lake?
That's the Gen 8, basically, CPU. And
okay.
the rumors are the i7s are now going to be 6 cores, 12 threads, and i5s, let's see, is it 6 cores, 6 threads, or maybe it was 4 cores and 8 threads? I'm not sure.
So, okay, so this is...
But either way, the whole lineup gets an interesting boost.
Well, okay, so, and this is interesting. So with Coffee Lake coming out here, because now we have Ryzen, right? So with Coffee Lake coming out here, what do you think Intel is going to do? Are they going to price them competitively, or are they just going to bank on the fact that, like, they have their reputation and their
name?
As
much as I think that would be a smart thing to do, maybe keep the prices the same, drop them a little bit even, and offer more cores, more hardware, I wouldn't even be surprised to see them raise prices.
You know what? So I was listening to Linus and Luke talk about this too, and I'm curious to get your input on this. So with so I guess like Intel, like, they take the same kind of die and use it like 2 years in a row, and then they like switch it up and everything. And so what they were talking about is like, so with the new Ryzen chips that it came out, right? There's a new die for those, so new motherboards and stuff like that. And with Coffee Lake, there's going to be new dies and new motherboards coming out for that. So what they were saying is like, if Ryzen had come out, like, say, last year or something like that, when the 7th gen processors were coming out, like, do you think there would have been more people buying Intel processors just because, like, the dies would have stayed the same, and they would have been like, oh, I don't have to buy a new motherboard, so I'm just going to stick with Intel?
I think that's possible, but also you have to consider there's a lot of people who probably weren't even thinking of buying any kind of CPUs because, oh, what? It goes, like, 200 megahertz faster? Oh, I don't care.
Interesting.
Like, I mean, all things considered, Kaby Lake is just faster clocked Skylake. There's not much new going.
So taking a look at this grid again here. So we've got the 16 core, 32 threads for $1,000, 12 cores, 24 threads for $799.
The 1920X is probably one of the more interesting ones because its bench scores are actually surprisingly close to the 16 core model, but $200 less. So
yeah, you're right.
That's interesting. It's interesting,
Well, it's got a faster base clock speed, and
we should really be looking at the boost. I think more than anything.
Well, they're exactly the same.
Is the boost on all cores? I forget.
Well, the max boost clock on all of them is
I think it's the XFR that boosts only a couple cores, and then the boost clock is with the full CPU. I might be wrong on that.
Okay, well,
Now
okay.
here's more though. There's more to this story, right? Not only do these CPUs offer more cores for the less amount of money, but first you also get this mountain of L3 cache. You get 64 PCIe lanes, and they run significantly cooler than their Intel counterpart.
Really? Okay, so, because I was looking at the pros and cons in here.
That's assuming that both are properly cooled, with more than likely water block,
Okay.
all-in-one coolers kind of thing.
Well, okay, so I'm curious to get your input on this then. So let's, if you jump down to the bottom of the article, so the good, this is what they say: better performance than the equivalent Intel chip for the price, which I can agree with. Fully featured platform across all chips. While liquid cooling is a must, Threadripper is easier to tame than Skylake X. Oh, okay, so they say water or liquid cooling is a must. What do you
Well,
think?
I mean, you're talking about 16 cores here. It probably is.
Oh, okay, good point. Good point.
Although I would not be surprised if a fairly beefy air cooler did the job.
Yeah, so it says in the bad needs a suitably robust cooling setup and power supply.
Well, yeah,
Well,
it does.
it pulls 180 watts, right?
Because it has 180 watt TDP. Actually, there's a difference between TDP and wattage, but forget
Okay.
that.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say explain, but
Okay, well, I mean, basically the TLDR is TDP is how much heat it has to distribute away from the CPU. The cooler has to distribute, and the wattage is how many watts are coming out of the power supply to the CPU. But
makes
anyway,
sense. Okay.
um,
So
I
the
forget what I
higher
was talking about.
the higher the TDP, the more cooling you're going to need.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Makes sense. So, all right. What is XFR boost?
That's AMD's version of I forget what the Intel called. I forget what Intel called it, but it was it's like they basically pick the best couple of cores and boost them faster when the other ones are idling.
I see. You know, I also heard something interesting too. So, I guess the reason the die is so big for, um, the Threadripper stuff is I guess two of the cores on some of them are actually dummy cores, they don't exist, but they did that so that they wouldn't have to create two different dies or something like that.
Oh, are you talking about how all right, say the 1920X will probably the arrangement that's going on there is basically they disabled one core in each of the core complex. I forget whether let's see, there's either 2 or 4 core complexes on each die, and I forget how many it is, but basically each die has 2 cores disabled.
But
So you end up with 12.
I heard that
Because
some of them
there's
were
2
dummies
die
though.
underneath that. Dummy cores? I don't
Well,
know what you're talking about. You might be talking about those disabled cores. I don't know.
Well, I heard that I don't remember the full rundown of it, but basically there's dummy cores on some of them or whatever like that. There's nothing actually there and you can't turn them on.
Oh, okay.
So
I think you're probably talking about the disabled cores because on some, especially AMD hardware in the past, you could do some tricky stuff and enable parts of the hardware that were disabled.
Interesting. I don't remember the whole story on
Because
that.
I guess they were less thorough than AMD or Intel and Nvidia at destroying said hardware. They just turn it off via software rather than actually destroying.
So I don't know if you saw Jay's 2 cents video, but
Nah.
apparently opening this packaging is a little interesting.
The packaging has actually, yeah, I've seen a lot about the packaging because for one thing, it looks kind of silly and dramatic, but you gotta unscrew some stuff or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's take a look. Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
says
Unlock the
unlock the
power.
power.
Well, all right, I guess. Pipe,
um,
pipe.
yeah,
Look at
man.
that. That's what's that CPU next to it? I don't know what's that CPU next to it. That might be the Skylake X CPU. Oh yeah. Okay, here it is. Look at that next to the 7900X. It's huge.
So my favorite thing about this, and I guess I didn't realize this, so you don't actually like, it's not like a processor from like Intel where you just take the thing out of the box and like drop it in there. There's like this, they call it like a cartridge or a carriage or something like that. And it's like this yellow piece that's around it, and that thing stays on there.
Yeah, there's something funny about the socket, but I don't know what that is.
Well, so like the reason
I
you like
didn't
keep
really
it
pay too
on
much
there
attention
is
to
like
that.
you like slide it in and then it aligns everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I guess that's.
oh,
It came up with a new way to put your CPU in. Wow.
I see what you're talking about with the two processors right next to each other.
Yeah, it's humongous.
Dang. Oh, and then it comes with this special tool to actually install your CPU.
This is what happens when you, as Intel says, glue two CPUs together.
I remember that conversation, but like that's the thing, like aren't they poking fun? Like didn't like AMD do that at one point? This isn't like
They're basically making fun of how it's kind of a crude method of doing things, but at the same time, how does it feel when your CPUs get taken to the dumpster by a crude CPU such as this? Hmm.
right.
I mean, that's not entirely true, but at the price point, they pretty much.
Well, I'm sure Intel is a little butthurt about this.
I don't know.
Um, dang though, like I'm looking at the motherboard now. That socket is huge,
Is that?
man. Oh my goodness. So, oh, and then here's the little picture of like screwing it down basically with the included what is it? The included tool and everything. I think like if we actually do an AMD build for me, I think that'll be the most interesting thing.
That is a heck of a motherboard. 6 PCI Express by 16 slots. Whoa!
Wow. Um
Hopefully, unlike Intel's motherboards, those VRM coolers are actually VRM coolers.
Now here's my question. Okay, so the little tool, right? Is that proprietary? Or like if you lose that, can you just take like a hex screwdriver or whatever that's like the right size and unscrew your processor?
I have no idea. I don't even. Oh, that thing. Right. Oh, that just looks like a. I thought that was like a torque screw or something like that. Nothing proprietary.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, it is a torque screw. I think well, not proprietary, but like the special part about it is it's like set to the correct torque. So you just keep turning it and then it will like torque itself, I guess.
Oh.
So you don't
Well,
over
I don't
torque it. Here's my question on this. How much freaking thermal paste are you gonna have to put on this thing?
Probably a lot more than anything else on the desktop. That's for sure.
Um, but yeah, like, oh my goodness, the thing is huge. Wow.
That's like regular size, quote unquote regular size.
Did you drop out?
Awesome.
Or... Okay. What is this AMD Ryzen Master? Is this so you can like overclock it and stuff like that?
I don't know all of what it does, but I do know that it has this interesting feature where you can change the memory access.
What?
And it actually has pretty significant effects on certain programs.
Huh. Interesting.
Yep.
Cool. Let's see here. What else? Okay, here we go. So we're starting to get into some of the performance now. Threadripper test system specifications. So 1950X, 32 gigabytes of RAM, quad channel G Skill RGB. Let's see here. Oh, I thought there was like a little more information in this. I guess like I don't know how much you've had, like how much of a chance you've had to look over all of this, but like I guess the question is like we know the chip is not necessarily as good for gaming. That's not to say you can still game on the thing, right?
It basically games like a Ryzen 7.
So
So acceptable, but not amazing.
got it. Okay, so here's my question then for you, right? So we're thinking about, I'm thinking about Maverick, or not Maverick here, Redmond, right? Still, and so with all the news and hype about Ryzen, it's been starting to look like an interesting thing. Now remember, I don't do a ton of gaming. I do more content.
You're asking,
creation.
is this a CPU that you should be interested in?
Yeah.
My answer is, of course it is.
Okay, so
Because it's actually really good at creative stuff.
Okay, so we're talking
Like,
Photoshop, Blender.
It's very good at it's very good at doing all of those things at the same time. In fact,
Oh, sweet. So I can be, rendering a graphic in Photoshop and then,
you could be like rendering something out and like recording with your CPU. Awesome.
Sweet. Okay,
It's
so
crazy
so
what
then,
16 cores can do.
That is true. So definitely for the content creation side of things, for me, this is definitely looking like a better option.
This is fantastic
Sweet.
for creative people.
Which I never thought I would say this, but like I never thought I would build an AMD build. Like I never thought it would ever happen. I thought I was always going to be,
Sounds like you
Intel.
drank the Intel Kool-Aid.
Well, you know what though? For a while there, Intel was like the top of the line, and AMD trailed behind.
They were.
Now we're going the other way. Now the question is though, right? Is for me, and okay, so somebody who is looking to, and this is an interesting question. So the 1950X looks amazing, but I'm not about to drop $1,000 on a CPU.
Well, of course not.
So here's my question for you then. Based off of what my needs are, which are, running Photoshop to create, maybe some 3D graphics every now and then. Primarily exporting things out in Premiere and After Effects. What lineup, because we've already established that the Threadripper lineup is decent and like great for content creation. So my question is, what is your recommendation for which model I should go with?
It's not that simple, right? What's your budget is the better question.
Well, remember I gave you $1,000 budget.
Well, I mean, you probably won't be able to fit a Threadripper in there. That it's just going to be Ryzen.
Oh yeah, I forgot they're different. Yeah, okay. Well, let's see here. What is
Just an 1800X is half of that budget. I think a great sweet spot is of the 1600X. It's 6 cores, 12, and it's like the price of an i5.
So okay, well, pricing on that is what?
It's like less than 250. It's between 200 and 250.
Sweet. That sounds more in my budget then. And like, so
6 cores, 12
6
threads.
cores?
6 cores, 12 threads.
Which, okay, so we were talking about how, like, the 1950X, I could be doing a ton of different things. So how's that stack up with, the 1950?
Basically the CPU for mega taskers.
So I'll still have more than enough power to be able to multitask with it then.
Say what?
I'll still have more than enough power to multitask with it then.
With 6 cores and 12 threads?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. I still have a Devil's Canyon i7. Like, sheesh, I'm fine. This is a 4-core 8-thread CPU.
Wait, you mean I might actually have a better, like, CPU in my system than you do?
Okay, I play video games on my PC,
That is
and this
true.
thing is overclocked to 4.5 gigahertz. So, I mean, short of a 7700K clock that fast, there's probably not much better out there for.
Hmm. And again, so the gaming performance.
It's great at what I want it to do, and while the lack of cores is kind of makes me feel a little inadequate. If you take a step back and think about it, it's fine. It's great. It does the job. I can't complain.
I will finally have something that I like. Well, I shouldn't say I finally will, but I'll have another thing that I can tease you about all the time.
Oh, I have more cores than you.
Yeah. So how are those 4 cores working for you, Zach? Meanwhile, I'm sitting over here with like 6 cores.
Well, I mean, I could say something about IPC or clock speeds.
That is true. That is true. But well,
I
okay.
mean,
But if
it's
you think about it,
really the market right now, it boils down to this: what's your workload, and what's the best CPU for this?
yeah. Well,
Because
and
there
that's what I
isn't
was gonna
really a
say.
be all and end all CPU. This is the best
Yeah.
at everything. No,
And that's what I was going to say.
no,
You know, it depends on what you're doing with it. Me, more
your
content
workload.
creation. Exactly. Me, I want to do more content creation. You are doing more gaming. So you have a CPU that works well for what you want to do. I'm going to have a CPU that's going to work well for what I want to do.
Yay!
Which I'll still be able to game on, correct?
Oh yeah, it's actually. I would suggest that the 1600X is probably a better buy than an i5 right now, even for gaming, because the i5s are still 4 cores, 4 threads. Like,
Right?
4 threads in 2017.
And
I don't know. I
you
think
know what?
the standard nowadays should be 4 cores, 8 threads.
Okay, and if we're looking at it too, like uh Photoshop, Premiere, After Effects, they are not going to complain about the extra, threads and
Okay,
cores.
well, see, those are programs that actually can use all of your cores.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. But they will be more than happy with all that. So, um,
Give them. I'll give it all those cores and a mountain of RAM. It'll be happy.
yeah. So, how much RAM does it still support up to like the?
The one caveat, actually, speaking of which, is you want fast RAM with Ryzen CPU. Like at least 3000 megahertz, I would say.
Right. So,
If you can squeeze it in. Like, it's not the end of the world if you can't squeeze it in, but it really benefits from it.
you know what I would love, and so Mr. Chief of Hardware here. So,
Oh boy.
16 gigs of RAM or 32 gigs of RAM?
16 is basically the standard now. If you can afford a 32, I mean, it's probably, sure, it's nice to have, but I don't think you'd use it. Would you? You wouldn't use 32 gigabytes, would you?
I don't know. I don't know how. Well, some of the Adobe products are pretty RAM intensive.
I realize that, and I say that because, well, I say I don't know. I should say, rather, that I don't actually know too much about just how much do those use. Well, I don't know. That's not a me question. It's worth some research, but
Oh yeah,
if you
definitely.
can't squeeze it into the budget, it's not going to ruin.
Well, think about it. We have an extra $100 now because we don't have to. Well, actually, we probably have like maybe close to $200 extra because we don't have to buy an SSD anymore.
You don't need any storage media. You already have stuff to put in.
Exactly. Yeah, and we're gonna drop the price of an optical drive, even though, yeah, we're gonna drop the price of an optical drive.
All right. See, here's just the ugly look of an optical drive in the front of the PC is like enough to make me not want one. Ugh. But who even uses those things these days anyway?
Well, for content
Just get a
creation,
USB one for $20.
and I think that's the route I'm gonna go actually. So, plug it in
I
when I
still
need
have
it.
one somewhere. I don't even know where it is though.
You actually have like an external USB one.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, dude, if you ever find it, I may just buy it off of you if you don't want it anymore.
It's nice to have every now and then.
Well, like I said, if you want to get rid of it, I will totally buy it off of you.
No.
Dude, when was the last time you used it?
Woo, that was some thunder. Maybe I
Oh.
should go close my window. Hold on a second.
Wow. Oh, okay. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here in sunny Iowa, where we actually. So lately, we've actually needed some rain, but interesting.
Hello, hello, I'm back.
Okay, dude, I heard that too. I was like, "Whoa!" I didn't realize it was thunder at first. I was just telling everyone I'm sitting
Yeah.
here in beautiful, sunny Clear Lake right now. So,
Oh, that's fantastic.
well, rain is on the way for us, and we actually do need some rain because we're a little behind. So, as much as I would love for the nice weather to stick around, but anyway, so, which I'm still surprised, but whatever. And maybe this is just me because whatever, but I'm surprised you don't have a UPS for your system.
I mean, power doesn't really go out all that often. I don't need
Well,
one.
no,
It's
the
a
power
needless
doesn't really go
cost.
out all that often, but like still when it does, it protects your system from just randomly being shut down.
It's a largely needless cost for me.
I don't know. I think, in my opinion,
I would so much rather spend the money on something else.
I love my APC UPS that I have. I guess, for me, it's just one of those, like, I see it as an investment for my.
Now, if it would keep my network connection alive as well, that would be interesting. But
I
it
wonder
can
if
do
it
that.
actually.
So,
I wonder if it actually could if you plugged in your modem and like your router to it.
well, that's a good question, but I don't know, and I wouldn't spend all that money to find out.
Right? I found a UPS the other day at Wally World or Walmart for like $20 because it was on sale, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna pick this up." Because normally
Really?
they're like $80. Yeah, it was like on clearance, so it was one of the like simpler models. It's actually the one that I have in our video of what is a UPS, where basically is all it's just a battery backup. The nice thing about my APC one that I have down here is that like after so much time it'll automatically shut my system down. So, although I
Yeah, it's
can't.
one of those that can gracefully shut your system off instead of being like, "Hey, we're out of power. Bye."
Yeah, exactly. The funny thing is though, and this has gotten me so many times, is when the power goes out, right? Yet both my monitors and my system are still running, and I'm looking
And you
around.
don't notice.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
hey, the lights are all gone now. Well,
yeah,
all
that's
right.
gotten me so many times where it's like, what the heck? Why did all the lights go out and everything? My system's still running. Oh, um. I actually yelled at my mother one day too because the power went out like one morning, and so I ran downstairs. We have an old house, and like our circuits get overloaded every now and then. And I thought she blew a fuse, and I was like, "You blew a fuse?" She's like, "No, I didn't." And then I looked around the entire house and was like, "Oh." Because, I was basing it off my system, which was still running. So, anyway, but.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's a thing that happened. But, anyway. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the show for this week here. So, let's see. What's on par here coming up? So, we've got the ultimate dorm room setup coming up. How to destroy your data. The quote-unquote correct way is coming up, hopefully.
How to destroy your data. Actually destroy it.
Yeah, with a microwave.
However you do that is up to you.
So that'll be an interesting video. What else is on par? I really don't know, actually. Assuming you actually put a list together for me, maybe some back to school tech stuff. I would love to do.
Perhaps.
Really like to focus on like laptops for back to school and then like back to school tech kind of stuff. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I think that's what's coming up here in the near future. So yeah. Anyway, with that being said, thank you for joining into the Ram Show this week. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. You know where that button is. If you really like the content we produce, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel and make sure notifications are on so you don't miss anything. With that being said, We're going to say goodbye for this week, and we will see you next week right here on The Ram Show.